and I didn't tell Alec. And so I kept her secret in my bathroom for 11 days.
Control the bond and you control the person, or the pet in this instance. I figured it out. I figured out why Hillary Baldwin hid the dog from her family, her children, her husband for 11 days. She wasn't just giving it time to adjust. She wasn't easing it into the family. She was curating the bond, making sure that before anyone else could lay a hand on that puppy, it already belonged to her. This is emotional monopolization disguised as care and is directly linked to narcissistic dynamics. Let's talk about it, but before we begin, here's the intro. Welcome to Revealing the Narc. Join me as I highlight narcissistic traits in celebrities and public figures. Everything here is in my opinion and not professional advice. If you enjoy the analysis, please like and subscribe. So this is a tactic I've seen before in narcissistic systems, in controlling relationships, and especially in parental dynamics, where love is used not as a gift, but as a leash. You isolate, you attach, you withhold, until the other person sees you as the only safe place. And when that happens, you own the bond. This isn't just about a dog, it's about emotional monopolization disguised as care. As we explore narcissistic dynamics around Mother's Day, I can't help but see the pattern. Whether it's a mother who won't let her child bond with anyone else, or a partner who floods you with attention to get there first, or someone who hides a puppy in a bathroom for 11 days so it only loves them, the tactic is the same. Control the bond, control the person. Let's talk about what really happened behind that bathroom door and why it's not just quirky, it's calculated. Most people bring a new dog into the family and introduce it to everybody, but not Hillary Baldwin. She brought home the dog, hid it in the bathroom for 11 days, visiting only when no one else was home or when everyone was asleep. She admitted this on camera. So why? Why would she do this? Why would a woman with all these children and a husband decide to isolate a brand new pet from the entire household? This isn't just about a dog. It's about bonding, control, emotional possession, and what happens when narcissistic needs hijack everyday relationships. Okay, so as I was looking into this, it turns out that dogs bond deeply in the first few days. Who feeds them, touches them, speaks to them. In those early moments, who they trust becomes the core of their loyalty. So, what happens when someone intentionally keeps a dog from bonding with anyone else? You're not just giving it a home, you're controlling who it thinks is home. That's not care, that's emotional monopolization. Narcissists do this all the time with new partners, with newborns, and we're seeing with Hillary Baldwin with pets. They isolate, they bond, they gatekeep, not because they love deeply, but because they fear losing control. To illustrate this, I want to give you a couple of examples. Let's talk about what this could look like in a romantic relationship. Sienna and Leo have been dating for 3 months. Leo encourages Sienna to take space from her family, and Leo says, "They don't understand you like I do." When her best friend invites her on a weekend trip, Leo pouts. He says, "I thought we were past needing other people." Sienna cancels. By month 4, Leo is the only person Sienna confides in. He knows all her insecurities, her complete schedule, her fears. And every time she pulls away, even for a second, he says, "You're abandoning me." Emotional monopolization tactic here is that Leo isolates Sienna, becomes the sole emotional authority in her life, and it's cloaked as intimacy. Let's get into a second example. After college, Mariah lands her dream job across the country. Her mother, Diane, reacts with fake encouragement. "Oh, honey, I'm so proud. But I guess this means I'll just be here all alone now." When Mariah doesn't call every day, Diane sends guilt-laced texts. "I guess you're too busy for the woman who raised you. Glad your new life is better than the one I gave up for you." Mariah begins to feel dread every time her phone lights up. Every milestone becomes a performance for her mother's approval. The emotional monopolization tactic being used here is that Diane weaponizes guilt to to remain the central emotional figure in Mariah's life, even from afar. Here's a third example. Ellie and Jules have been best friends since high school. When Ellie starts a new hobby group, Jules responds coldly. You used to hate people like that, Jules says. You've changed. When Ellie posts photos with new friends, Jules leaves passive aggressive comments. Don't forget who was there for you before you got cool. Ellie begins filtering herself, hiding wins, avoiding joy, dreading Jules's reaction. The emotional monopolization tactic here is that Jules uses shame and nostalgia to preserve her role as Ellie's primary emotional connection, rejecting any new bonds. And let's get into the final example. Aaron's older brother Jacob helped raise him, but now that Aaron has a partner and a new life, Jacob starts rewriting the story. Remember how mom left? It was just me and you. We only ever needed each other. He shows up unannounced, interrupts dinner, family comes first. When Aaron tries to talk boundaries, Jacob storms out. You're just like the rest of them now, he says. The emotional monopolization tactic here is that Jacob weaponizes shared trauma and unbreakable bonds in quotation marks to maintain dominance over Aaron's emotional life, rejecting growth or change. There are 4 common themes in emotional monopolization. The first is exclusive bonding that's framed as love or loyalty. The second is guilt or obligation replacing authentic connection. The third is undermining other relationships. And the fourth is emotional gatekeeping. You're only safe here with me. Let's get into a second point here. Why 11 days? I think it's because that was long enough for the dog to fully learn Hilary's voice, scent, and rhythm. And the way she did it secretly while everyone slept or no one was home behind closed doors, that's not standard pet care. That's actually something called curated bonding. It's a strategy to create attachment before anyone else gets a chance. So by the time the dog emerges from the bathroom, it already knows who its person is. And it's not Alec, it's not the kids, it's Hilary. So, what is curated bonding? It's when someone strategically controls the conditions of connection so that they are the sole or dominant emotional influence. The bond forms around their terms, their timing, and their image. It appears nurturing, but is actually engineered dependency. It's like saying, I don't just want you to love me, I want you to only trust me, only rely on me, and only feel safe with me. In narcissistic dynamics, curating bonding often involves controlling access, who can interact with the person, when, and how. Isolating early in a relationship. It also involves staging emotional moments to create loyalty, withholding connection from others to become the favorite or only safe person, and framing it all as love or protection. Examples of this could be a narcissistic parent keeping the baby with them 24/7 and limiting the parent's time in quotation marks because I know best. It could be a new partner flooding you with love, secrets, and vulnerability before you've built trust to accelerate emotional fusion. It could be a caregiver saying, don't tell anyone what we talked about. This is our special thing. And you can see how this can get extremely dangerous. A more detailed example of this could be a mother that tells her daughter that their long walks are just for them. She gives her gifts, but says, don't tell daddy, he might feel left out. She praises her, but only in private. She says, it's better this way. No one else understands us. The daughter begins to crave her mother's attention and fears losing it. Every bond is now filtered through one person's emotional gatekeeping. In a romantic relationship, it could be a man who meets a woman and within days, he's shared childhood trauma, called her his soulmate, asked her not to talk to her ex or friends because, in quotation marks, they're toxic. He introduces intimacy, vulnerability, and dependency fast, and then frames it all as fate. He could say, we've never needed anyone else, we just get each other. But really, he's trying to build a relationship where she can't breathe without him. So I want to ask you if you have any experience with this. Have you ever had someone who made you feel like it was just you two against the world and then slowly made it unsafe for you to connect with anyone else? If you feel comfortable, please drop that in the comments. So, why does this happen? Why do narcissists create these exclusive bonds? In narcissistic systems, love isn't shared, it's claimed. Exclusivity isn't a byproduct, it's the point. They don't want to be one of many who love you. They want to be the only one who matters to you, the only one who gets to decide what affection looks like, when it's given, and whether you're worthy of it. And what Hillary did with that dog, that's curated bonding. It's a manufactured moment of exclusivity, not to nurture, but to own. I'm going to give a few more examples that illustrate this. Someone could say, my mom only complimented me when no one else was around. If someone else praised me, she'd say they were just being polite or they didn't know the real me. Over time, I stopped trusting anyone else's opinion. Only hers mattered, even when it hurt. This is an example of where praise becomes secret currency, one the narcissist controls and weaponizes. Another example could be someone who says, at first, he said he just didn't trust my friends. They were bad influences. Then it was my sister, then my coworkers. Eventually, he was the only person I talked to. And I didn't even realize I was isolated. I thought I was lucky to have someone who cared so much. In this example, protection is a smokescreen. It's not about safety, it's about access. The narcissist removes anyone who might offer a competing version of reality. And a final example could be someone saying, she bought me a phone so I could always text her, but when I didn't respond fast enough, she reminded me who paid for the phone. This wasn't a gift, it was a leash. In this example, generosity becomes leverage. The narcissist bonds through obligation and not intimacy. So when Hillary kept that dog out of sight for 11 days, it wasn't about acclimating the puppy to a new home. It was about ensuring that the puppy imprinted on her before anyone else could interfere. It's the same psychology, the same emotional monopoly, the same tactic we see in toxic families, manipulative relationships, and narcissistic parenting. Control the bond and you control the narrative. You make someone believe you're their only safe place, and you become their compass, their cage, and their entire emotional world. And that's why it is so dangerous. So, when I first heard this story, it immediately didn't sit well with me. But it's surprising to me that there hasn't been outrage about this. And I think if maybe someone heard this story without context, they might think that Hillary is just quirky. But when you zoom out and you view it through a narcissistic lens, you see that it's calculated. What you see is a pattern of strategic isolation and emotional control. It involves number one, controlling a living being's entire social environment. Number two, engaging in secret behavior, not for protection, but to prevent connection. Number three, curating an identity not as controlling, but as special and nurturing. And number four, making herself the only gateway to love, comfort, and care. This isn't maternal instinct. This is emotional gatekeeping dressed up as devotion. Because in narcissistic systems, care doesn't mean freedom, it means possession. In these systems, love is not a gift, it's a leash. And the scariest part, the narcissist may believe they're being loving, that this bond is pure, it's earned, and it's beautiful. But real love doesn't require secrecy, it doesn't isolate, and it doesn't erase everyone else in the process. So, what does this tell us about Hillary Baldwin, about Alec, about the entire environment? It tells us something simple and terrifying. Even a dog can be weaponized because, in the mind of a narcissist, being loved isn't enough unless they can guarantee you'll never love anyone else. So, I'm curious to know what you all think about this. I wonder, do you see what I see? Do you see the red flags also? If you feel comfortable sharing, please drop that in the comments. If this video was interesting to you, please like and subscribe. Hit that notification bell so you'll know every time I drop a new video. As a companion to this video, I'm going to make a Patreon fictional story, and I'm also going to couple it with some gentle affirmation and journaling prompts for reflection. All of that info can be found in the description of this video. I want to thank you all so much for listening, and I will talk to you all soon. Bye, everybody.